Hi, I'm Amy. Today I wanted to share a video of some movements for the non-yogi. As we find ourselves sheltering at home during the COVID-19 outbreak, there are a lot of you who've never practiced yoga before and quite frankly may not have a really strong interest in it. But you may be noticing that you're on your computer a lot more, either telecommuting to your office, engaging in learning from your school or your college. Maybe you're a teacher that's teaching from home and you find yourself on a Zoom platform more of the day than you'd like to be because you're used to standing and walking. All of this sitting and interaction on screen time tends to increase stiffness right here in the shoulders and the neck and along the back. So I'd like to help everyone out there loosen up a little bit, stretch and release that tension. Now, this video is not intended to cure or treat any specific ailments or medical conditions, and I do encourage everyone to make sure that you've talked to your doctor before you engage in this or any other exercise routine. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I'd like you to do is find a space in your home where you can kind of stretch out. It doesn't have to be a special room with a wooden floor, and you don't have to have a yoga mat. You can simply take out a towel, lay it out on the carpet just so you have a clean, comfortable space to work. Now, the next thing that you want to do is find a comfortable seated position. This may or may not be lotus for you. Now, a lot of times people flexing their knees deeply is uncomfortable, so please feel free to sit however you'd like so that your body is comfortably aligned, your spine is upright, and your hips are not screaming at you. Now, you may want to sit in lotus position, but finding your hips are a little tight. What you can do is simply grab a decently firm pillow, like a couch pillow. Place it on your sitting area, and then come and sit up a little bit higher. By sitting up higher, that's going to relax, kind of help lift you up a little bit and allow those hips to open. So whatever seated position you'd like to take, go ahead and find yourself in that position right now. So the first thing I talked about is tension in the neck and in the shoulders. We've got a muscle along here, which is called our upper trapezius muscle. A lot of times when we're using a computer, we have the computer screen aligned in an improper alignment. So that causes kind of that hunched over posture. The first thing you can do has nothing to do with what we're going to do on the mat. It's changing where your computer is located. If it's on a desk and you find that you're having to drop your head or round your shoulders in order to see your screen, get some books or a plastic container that's pretty sturdy. Lift your computer screen up and set it up high enough to where your screen is eye level without having to round your shoulders. The next thing you can do is start to notice your chair itself that you're sitting in. A lot of desk chairs that you might buy that are inexpensive, or maybe they're really pretty expensive and fancy, but they don't have a natural curve to the lumbar region, the low back. If you're finding yourself with a straight chair, or maybe it's a really squishy chair and you find yourself rounding back into it, find a pillow in your house. Place it right here in the low back region before you sit down and start getting on your computer. It's going to help support that arch in your lumbar spine, help keep your posture a little bit more upright. The final thing you can do with screen time is notice where your feet are on the floor. If your feet are touching the floor, but your knees are below your hip height, that's going to compromise your posture. So what you might want to do is, again, get another book, a pillow or something, and you want to bring your feet a little bit up so that your knee is either right in line with your hip or even a little bit higher than your hip. It's going to make it easier to support your spine. So those are just a few setup ergonomic tips that you can have for your viewing space when you're using your computer. Now, as you're joining me in a seated position, the first thing we're going to do is start to address those muscles right up here, the upper trapezius. So what I'd like you to do is lower your chin down to your chest for a moment and just hold it there. You may already be experiencing tension along one or both sides of your neck. Close your eyes if you'd like. Take some slow, deep breaths in and out through your nose. And now let's lift our head back up to center. Turn your head over your right shoulder and just hold the stretch. And back to center. Turn your head over your left shoulder. And come back. Now, we're going to move into a stretch, and you should feel the stretching sensation on the opposite side of where you're rolling your head to. So you're going to take your chin down to your chest again, roll your right ear towards your right shoulder. So now your head is tilted at a diagonal, and you should be feeling the stretch sensation along the opposite side of the neck. And just hold here. And even let your arm dangle down to kind of create a little bit more weight. And now roll your chin back to center. And now roll your left ear towards your left shoulder. Again, perhaps choosing to let that arm dangle down freely by your side. And roll back down to center. Lift your head back up. One more neck stretch that you can do is just simply by dropping your ear down. So you can have your head level and then drop your right ear straight down to your shoulder. Bring the head back to center and drop the left ear down to the left shoulder. And come back up. So those are a few things that you can do for the neck and the upper neck area along the upper trapezius. Now, another place a lot of people feel tension as we're moving down is right between the shoulder blades. A great stretch to kind of pull into that, just a simple shoulder roll up. And as you roll back, have the intention to roll your shoulder blades towards each other, kind of letting those palms face up and the elbows are pointing back as you roll the shoulders. Now, a lot of times as we're on the computer, we tend to get what's called a kyphotic posture. That's where you're rounded forward. By rolling up and back, you're activating the muscles that help support the back and keep good posture. One more shoulder roll. Now, another thing you can do, and I'm going to turn sideways for this stretch. This can be done standing as well. Bringing your fingertips, lacing them through each other. Pull the back of your hands down, squeeze those shoulder blades together. If you'd like, you can stretch a little bit deeper, starting to float your hands up away from your hips. And now release the arms, coming back. Another shoulder stretch that we can do, bringing both arms in front of each other. We're going to cross the right elbow underneath the left. A simple stretch is to come into a hug, and then you can adjust the height of your elbows, lifting up a little bit until you start to feel resistance in a shoulder. Or if you're feeling a lot of sensation right now, drop those elbows down a little bit to where you feel a little resistance, but it's not painful. And just hold here for a moment. And then reach the arms back out to the front, cross the left elbow under the right, coming back to center. Again, this can be done from a standing position as well if you just want to get up and stop sitting. And release. Take both arms out to the side, bend at the elbows, bring your hands either to your head, behind your neck, or perhaps fingertips behind the shoulders. Relax those shoulders down as you hold the stretch. Now take your arms out to the side, turn your palms away from you, tuck the back of your hands onto your low back. I'm gonna turn to the side here. Start right here. If your shoulder will allow, you can start to move your hands up your back a little bit at a time. And if you'll notice, one of my hands goes higher than the other. That's completely normal. Usually the side that you write with is going to be tighter. You use those muscles on your dominant arm a lot more than your non-dominant arm. They're going to be more resistant to being stretched. Still sitting up or standing nice and tall while you're stretching. And now gently release. All right, so we've addressed the neck. We've started to do a little bit of shoulder stretch. Now what about the torso and the low back? So one of the things that feels great that I really enjoy, especially if I'm sitting like on a pillow or something soft, is just doing spirals in one direction and kind of rotating around my spine. So you're going to bring your chest forward. Start to circle your rib cage around to the right side. As you come through the back, let your shoulders and hips scoop under, pull your belly button towards your spine, then reach your rib cage back around. Taking this nice and slow, notice where you're finding tension. You're going to feel kind of those muscles complaining as you're moving through certain spaces. When you come to those spaces, slow it down. Really get that nice deep stretch as you're moving. For today, we're just going to circle 5 times around to each side, but you can do as many circles as you'd like to each side. So after your 5th one, just for the purpose of the video, reverse your circles and go in the opposite direction. Now you can start engaging in some relaxing breathing if you'd like. Inhaling through the first half of the circle, and then exhaling through the second half. And let's do one more. And come back up. All right. So the next thing we're going to do kind of starts to loosen up the hips in the back a little bit more. What you're going to do is come to all fours. If you have sensitive knees, you can kneel upon that pillow that you were using to sit upon, or put a rolled up blanket or towel underneath your knees. Anytime you're doing any kind of kneeling stretch or kneeling work, you want to make sure a few things are in alignment. So you want to make sure that your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder are in a line, and that your hips are over your knees. From here, we're going to bring both knees closer together. We're just going to let our hips sink down to one side a little bit. You can bend at the elbows, come back up to center, sink to the other side. Breathe in, lift up, sink to the side, come back. One more time, and back. Now, you can stretch through your hips, coming from this kneeling position. Just open the knees out to the side, sink your hips back over your heels, and walk your arms forward. Now, if flexing your knees this deeply is not comfortable, you can take a blanket or a rolled up towel and place it between your calf and your thigh so you don't sink as deep. We're just going to relax down, bring the forehead all the way down to the floor. And breathe in, come back to center, walk your knees back under your hips. Let's do one more exercise here. This one actually moves the spine a little bit and the muscles surrounding the spine. It's called cat and cow. So as you breathe in, you're going to let your belly drop towards the floor and let your hips tip upward. And then lift your face up. And then as you exhale, press your back up towards the sky, drop your hips down, drop your shoulders forward, drop your head. Inhale, lift back up to cow, let that natural arch get created in the back. Exhale, stretch the cat. Inhale, lift. Exhale. Let's do one more. Back to a neutral spine. Just sink back. We're going to shift our body weight back around to the front. Now, a lot of times, our pain gets expressed in our low back. But a lot of people don't realize that the muscles, especially in the lower back, run vertically, not horizontally. And so these muscles, the erector spinae, connect down into what's called a kinetic chain. It's a fancy way of basically letting us know our muscles connect with one another. And so if you think about a pulley system and you've got it hooked together, if you pull downward on this rope from the glutes all the way down the hamstrings, if there's a connection or a link and you pull down this way, it's going to pull down this way as well. Well, on our back, we have vertebrae. Inside the vertebrae is our spinal column. Those are all our nerves. And so when those muscles get pulled, it is causing compression and you get a pain signal. However, it's sometimes hard to really do a whole lot as far as lengthening the back muscles themselves. What tends to cause this tension, though, especially with sitting, is the gluteal muscles. It's the gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, and gluteus minimus, and your hamstrings. If we can loosen up around the glutes, the hips, and the hamstrings, we're not going to be pulling down on these muscles quite so much. So I want to show you a few exercises that you can do to loosen up those areas and hopefully release some of the tension in your low back. So what I'd like you to do, first of all, is to find a belt. In yoga, we use these nice fancy long straps, but you don't have to have one of those. I got a simple old belt from my closet I don't use anymore. It's not quite as long as that, but it's long enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my right foot forward, take the belt around either the ball of my foot or the arch of my foot, and hold on. Sit up nice and tall. We're going to bring the left foot beside the right thigh, deep breath in, and start to kind of lead with your heart, hinging from your hips, keeping the back lengthened. And we're going to come forward until your hamstrings on the back side of your legs say, whoa, that's far enough. And at that point, just relax your neck, continue to hold on to the strap, keep the arms relaxed, and just hold that stretch, taking some slow, deep breaths. And what you may find in a moment after your brain kind of lets go of connecting with that hamstring tightness, you might start to notice you feel a little stretch on the opposite side from the leg that's extended in your low back. That's that kinetic chain. You're kind of tightening the muscles back here as far as trying to stretch them. It's going to pull down just a little bit. Then come back up. Now let's switch to the other leg. Bend the right leg. Bring the strap underneath the left foot. Sit up tall. Lead with your heart. Hinge from your hips. So you're coming forward. And what I mean by hinging, so if you come forward and you're just ramming your shoulders, you're not going to get a stretch. If you lead with your heart, hinging from your hips, notice the back stays in a nice long alignment. You're getting the full expression of that stretch. So you don't have to come all the way down to here. You could be right here and feeling a lot of sensation, a lot of stretch. That's going to be beneficial for what you need today. And slowly come back up. All right. Now one more stretch. Take both legs forward. Take your step again. Bring it underneath the soles of both feet. Sit up nice and tall. Hinge from your hips. Lead with your heart. Coming forward, feeling that stretch in your hamstrings. Relax your neck. And come back up. All right, you can take your strap or your belt, set it off to the side. Another thing with our kinetic chain that connects all the way back down are our feet. Rarely do we do anything to benefit our feet. So I want to show you a simple foot massage that can kind of start to loosen up some of the connective tissue, therefore not making that great big pull up all the way up the chain to the back. So What I want you to do is find a comfortable position where you can access your foot. You're going to take the heel of your hand, place it onto the ball of your foot, wrap your fingertips over your toes, and wiggle back and forth. Now you're going to take your thumb. You're going to find the spaces in between the bones of the toes. So where the bone is and connects into the bigger part of the foot, we're going to space in between and press. And as you press, you're going to notice those toes separating apart a little bit. Then press firmly in between the next two toes, firmly between the next two, and firmly between the last ones. Now take both thumbs, locate your heel, the calcaneus bone, so leave about an inch or so of space, maybe 2 inches. Come above that where your arch starts. You're going to firmly press inward and stroke upward towards the ball of your foot, starting at your arch and moving all the way over to the lateral edge of your foot. So press in with both thumbs, firmly stroke upward, then move your thumbs over a little bit more, start back down near your heel, stroke upward towards the ball of your foot, come back down. You're moving a little bit each time closer to the lateral edge of your foot. And one more time. And now just kind of flex your foot for a moment. Take little mallet hands and work just along the calf. And stop. Now, let's switch and do the other side. Heel of the hand, ball of the foot, wrap the fingertips over, wiggle the toes back and forth. Take your thumb, press it into the space in between. This is on the ball of your foot again, in between where the bones of the toe connect in with the foot. Press, spread those toes apart, press in. One more time. Now thumbs right near your heel. Press firmly and stroke upward along your arch. Move over just a tiny bit. Repeat. Move over a little bit more. And last one. And now flatten the hands. Work into the thigh just a little bit. All right. Now, you remember that forward fold we did earlier with our belt. You can use the belt again. You don't have to. I want you to see what it feels like now that you've loosened up some of the connective tissue in the feet. Sit up tall, fold forward. See if you're able to go a little bit further than you were earlier because we've loosened up part of our kinetic chain. And come back up to center. All right, now we're going to do a quick hip stretch and take our back out of the equation completely. So I'd like you to go ahead and lay down flat on the floor. You can ease yourself down gently. Take just a moment to make sure that your back is kind of scooping down towards the floor. So you may have to kind of lift up and readjust, make sure the tops of the hips are touching the floor. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our right leg and we're going to cross it over our left thigh. So the foot's coming on top of the thigh. And then let your knee open. You're going to take your right hand and place it between the gap that's been created, almost like an upside down number 4 with your legs. And then take your left hand, meet your right hand. They're going underneath the crease of the knee. And then gently start to pull towards you until you start to feel a stretch in your right hip. But be mindful if you start to feel a little pain in the right knee, ease up, making sure we're not compromising our knees. And then bring your foot back down, uncross your legs, cross the right ankle, or excuse me, the left ankle over the right leg. Open your knee, hold underneath the crease of this right knee, let the leg go completely limp, and then gently pull towards you. The sensation you should be feeling is right here in this left hip. Take some slow, deep breaths and hold the stretch for a moment. And then gently uncross. Now this last activity that we're going to do is called legs up the wall. And I find that it's fabulous because it allows you to stretch your hamstrings without involving your back whatsoever. You're laying on the floor, you're completely supported. Not only is this great for just kind of stretching the hamstrings, supporting the back, but if you've been standing for a while, because we do have folks during this time period that are brave and working at supermarkets and they're on their feet all day, the first responders, the nurses, the doctors, everyone needs to kind of take care and take time for themselves. This is a way to unwind, to relieve that tension in the hamstrings and the back, also potentially to release a little bit of swelling from feet and ankles. So let's go ahead and find a nice flat space of wall. And what you're going to do is you're going to push your derriere right against the wall. And then we're going to have our back completely laid out flat and bring the legs up the wall as high as you can with your hamstrings allowing you to go. You may not be able to get the legs all the way straight, and that's perfectly fine. Just stretching to the point where you're feeling some sensation and you can relax and kind of surrender into the stretch for a moment. So take your time. Make sure as you lay down, you may find that you've moved away from the wall a little bit. So kind of wiggle up next to it so your rear end is hitting the wall. And then gently start to straighten your legs as straight as they will go. Again, this may be where you need to be today. This may be where you need to be today. And then finally, let's take our hands, rotate the palms to face up, and then drop them down by your side so your shoulders are relaxed. Take a few minutes and just close your eyes. Take some slow, deep breaths in and out through your nose. I know the first time I ever took a yoga class when someone told me to close my eyes and focus on my breathing, the only thing I experienced were thoughts racing through my head, and it takes a while to learn how to control them. So I found one thing that works really, really well is to focus your awareness, not just on your breath, but on cultivating a positive thought. So instead of just clearing the mind, perhaps finding a moment to cultivate a sense of gratitude, thankfulness for something that your body has done for you today, or that a person in your life has done for you today. As you're breathing in and breathing out, holding on to that sense of peaceful gratitude, your mind starts to wander, just bring it back to that same positive thought, repeating it in your head, breathing in and breathing out. And then when you're ready, go ahead and bend your knees, walk your feet back onto the wall. You're going to gently roll to your side with your knees bent. Use your hand furthest away from the floor, easing yourself up nice and slowly. Coming back to that comfortable seated position from where you started today. Now that legs at the wall, you can hold that for much longer. That may be a great place for you to just kind of meditate and learn how to quiet the mind and just surrendering into a slower, deeper, fuller breath. I'm glad that you could join me today. I hope that you continue to take time each day to care for your body and care for your spirit. Thank you so much, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.